As mentioned, my name is Thomas. I'm one of the managing directors at Unternehmertum. And at Unternehmertum, it's all about innovation and also startups. And the cool thing with startups is it allows you to look into the future, because startups typically can start from zero. So they have a greenfield approach. And what happens in the AI space currently on a startup level might happen in a couple of years in established companies. So I'm really looking forward to the panel here. Let's get it started. So maybe first to all of you, maybe you can quickly introduce yourself, what you are doing, and also what do you think is a vibe style? What is it for you in the startup world? So Eva, maybe you can start, please.
Yes. Yeah, hello everyone. Very happy to be here today. I'm Eva, leading our startup efforts, especially in DACH, but also overall EMEA. So if there's something startup related, let me know. And yeah, maybe touch basing a little bit on your question. Yeah, what is Vibe Style? What do we also as an OpenAI understand that? I would say it's really about moving quickly to build openly and iterate openly all the time. And here it's really about the barriers for building, for launching products have never been as low as today, which is a great opportunity for everyone out there, I would say. You don't need to have a PhD in AI to build a great product. And we as OpenAI, we really try to enable that with our products, with coding capabilities in GPT-5, for example, or Codex, our own code developer app, I would say, but also other models like ImageGen and co. So we really make it possible for everyone to build something from scratch, and this is why we are very, very excited about Vibe Style building, I would call it.
So, Christian, you are an AI-first founder. So what are you doing with your startup?
Yeah, we started last year. I'm from Loop ID, one of the co-founders, and we basically make physical products talk. So we work with mainly companies of like premium manufacturers and brands of physical products and furniture and textile and electronics. And we help them to create agents that their customers can, at point of sale, talk with the products, inform themselves. Also set up, create workflows from that, like set up a meeting afterwards, getting more marketing information at a fair, get a lead documentation and a follow-up. And then the goal is we also work at the intersection of circularity. So in the past we were on the panel, also on the stage for the circularity topic, because we believe that this will also help during the life cycle of products, that you can engage with the product. And for example, if a device like a washing machine doesn't work anymore at home, the product itself will help you with interaction, with voice, simply talking to it to fix it. We're all used to talk to our cars, that also took adoption. In the future, we will be able to basically talk to any product if we want to. Yeah, and for me, Vibe Style, we realized, we started last year, and still I have to admit, we had AI at core in our technology from the beginning. Both founders are computer scientists. I studied AI in Berkeley some time ago, did it in consulting many years. But I realized at the beginning of this year, we have it at core, but we don't use it in our support functions. We still went the classic SaaS way. We did marketing, sales, everything with the established tools that I knew for years. And I said in our startup, this can't be it. We have to look what's there. So we all logged in. We're in Munich and in Stockholm. We all went to Stockholm, basically logged us in for a week as a core team, looked at what's out there, met with companies there, met the Lovable CEO at an event, sit together with Netlight, a consultancy that's very advanced in that space, did workshops, and came out with a couple of tools. Built that, automated our workflows. For example, a demo workflow where before we had a couple of people that were creating demos for customers all day that really cost us money. Now a customer can just do it on our webpage themselves, and in the background runs AI and an automated workflow. And then we realized, we thought, like, I always have this feeling, oh, we're late, we have to hurry up, right? That's just the founder thing, you always think you're too late. And then in our ecosystem here, suddenly the startups around us were asking us, and it was AI startups, guys, how did you do that? Like, how does the automation work? And we realized, wait, there's a risk. Like we got in touch, exchanged like what tools are we using. For us, Gamma was normal already at that time instead of PowerPoint. But we realized this is not the standard. And we saw the risk that other startups might get disrupted by startups actually. Yeah? Startups are usually disrupt corporates, but we might otherwise get in a time where startups get disrupted by startups. So we need to tell this to the world.
Right, excellent. And Fabian, Make is a front runner in the vibe coding movement. So maybe you can tell us about yourself and make.com.
Yes, sure. So good afternoon, everyone. I lead the ecosystem organization over at Make. Make is a Celonis company, a platform for AI and agentic automation and orchestration. Before I get into the vibe style and mentality, I'm very curious to know also in the audience, because now you know who we are, to know who of you are startup, work in a startup or founders? Okay. And who of you are investors on the investor side? Okay, so more founders in the audience. It helps me to understand a little bit. And maybe developers? Okay, just a few developers. Okay, that is very important.
Yeah.
So the way we see vibe style, I would summarize it in 2 words. One is speed and democratization. The speed to translate a creative idea into a functional prototype. That is something that with Gen AI now is much faster. The possibility for everyone, non-developers included, by the way, do you know how many developers or how many of the population are developers in the world? Maybe an idea?
Millions, at least. No more.
It's 0.3% of the population who knows how to code. So you have a majority of people who are actually non-developers. And that's the democratization piece. So with the vibe style allows people who are non-developers to actually participate in the movement and build their ideas very fast. So that's really what I understand from 0 to 1 today. It's the idea on Friday, it's by Sunday having a prototype, by Monday having first users and feedback. And this is what we understand as vibe coding. Speed of innovation and democratization of technology.
Can I describe it a bit what you said, like this spot on, like in a feeling? Probably most people know what it means to be in a flow, right, when you work. When you forget about time, you're really creative, you're productive. But yeah, and that vibe coding or vibe marketing, vibe fundraising, vibe sales, for me means you stay in that flow. Because you basically, the ideas you have, as you described, you can directly turn into execution. And before that, usually you had breaking points coming up really fast. So the coder coded something, and then he needed input again from the product manager, and they had to go to the customer, and you had these breaking points that always like needed mind change. And today you can automate that. Half a year ago, I had to ask if I wanted a change on our webpage. I needed to ask in our team the person that did marketing to do that change, and she basically went to the tech team then because she couldn't do it in the tool we use to do that change. Today I go on my phone, we moved all our pages to Lovable, I just tell Lovable change that on the web page and it's there. And this feels like the whole day working feels a bit more like working with teams, although it's often ChatGPT or other LLMs that I'm talking with, but it's way more fun because it feels like you're working with colleagues and not having that artificial breaks in processes that are just full of stops.
Oh, I'm starting to feel old coming from product development. So, but great. Eva, so maybe we start with coming from 0 to 1. So now you are about to start a company, a startup. So what would you recommend a founder now on using Gen AI?
Yes, happy to elaborate that. So luckily, I've been a founder before myself, so I know the journey. Yeah, I mean, in general, what do you need starting as a founder from 0 to 1? Firstly, I'd say you need a product, right? And you need it very quickly. And as mentioned already before, the barriers to build for even non-technical people has never been that low, be it via vibe coding, etc. So really, I would say bringing a product out there has never been so easy as today. So it's the first one, make your product ready. Second one is really compressing the time to market, because speed matters, right? You want to be fast, you want to have your product with your customers, you want to be faster than competition. So this is really what also GenAI enables, because the tools, to use the tools makes you so much faster actually. And then the third one, I would say that really, really helps is, I would call it growth, and growth in many ways. So for example, there are so many GenAI tools today that help you with marketing, with communications, right? We just had it like, you can build a website from scratch just like that. And really using all of the tools all the time is so exciting. So for example, one of the companies like I work very closely is Kittel, and they enable everyone here to be a designer, which I think is just so, so cool. And they, for example, use a lot our image models. And this is something that enables growth at high scale. So I would say this like a few of the main things, like 3 main things that you can use GenAI on to come from 0 to 1 very quickly. And this is also something where we as OpenAI like to support a lot. So firstly, yeah, we all the time try to really bring the best products out there, the best large language models and co, to make sure that startups can develop the best products. So firstly, that one. Secondly, and maybe coming a little bit like more to the, let's say like our location in Munich and in EMEA overall. I mean, now we have an office in Munich, we have one in London. So I think this is also just a contribution from the company to say, hey, we are here, we want to support the ecosystem. Me running around, working with the startups, make sure they get the best from our products. This is really what we want to do. And the third one, and this is more about partnerships and collaborations, we really also want to like nurture the ecosystem, the AI startup ecosystem especially. So we're very happy to, nurture different like partnerships with Unternehmertum, with CDTM, with TUM AI, etc., because we want to make sure that we build in Europe also the best AI companies out there, and this is what I'm here for.
Great, thanks. So Fabian, a couple of years ago, it was already all about automating things. So what has changed now recently with Gen AI, and what would your recommendation to founders in that respect?
Mm-hmm. So what has changed in the world of automation in the last years with AI? So the first thing is, so I'm thinking about startups specifically and founders, and I not only mean startups who have a concrete idea, but people like you and me who have problems every day. What I see happening first is the barrier for innovation is close to eradicated, meaning that, and I'll give you an example from me. I am currently willing to invest in real estate and to look into different metrics on which is the best, real estate to invest in. You have websites on, online where you can look for real estate. And I've decided to say I don't want to do then scrap and spend some time. I'm just going to build an automation. I'm going to connect ImmoScout, as you all know. I'm going to say I'm looking for a yield of 4 to 5%, and please pull me out. So I prompted it, and my goal, give context in OpenAI. And then basically pulled it out into a tab, basically. And I realized that this is not something only I can use. So I started doing the same with the equivalent of ImmoScout in France. And I did the same with Zillow. So now, basically, I built a front end with no code and wipe coding, where basically I type in what my goal is, and I'll have basically an automation, built listing all the available real estate based on the criteria that I set. And this is something that you can bring live as a product. And a weekend. It took me 2 weekends, to be honest, but for some people in a weekend. And I think this is something, whenever you build something specifically with software, in the days, and going back to what Christian said, You need to have a developer team. You need to have budget, time to iterate, to the idea and to get feedback. Today, you can do that over a weekend. And even if your technology or your business model or whatever startup you're working on is not software related, even if it's, I don't know, deep tech or hardware, you still need to build the support functions, HR, customer service, and you can do that without having to build a large structure, a large organization, by automating, by using AI, and this is also something that allows you to scale way faster than it was maybe 10 years ago, where the conditions were very different. So this is the biggest changes that I see right now. Whenever you are a startup, working for a startup, building those support functions, or whenever you want to build your own startup, whether it's a small microservice like I did, or whether you have the great idea that you want to revolutionize the world.
Great, thanks. So Christian, you already touched a bit on it. So maybe you can elaborate on your journey in the last, let's say, 12 months, and especially what obstacles did you see in using this? I mean, it all sounds great, but startup founders, what are things they should avoid from your perspective?
Yeah, as always, there are challenges. I think the biggest challenge I figured, even as an early adopter, I would call myself, was adoption. Like really forcing myself to, with every problem challenge I have, to think how I can solve it with AI. And the more I did that, the shorter basically, or the less long it took until I realized, like, shoot, I need to solve it with ChatGPT. So, or another LLM. So I think adoption is also what we see on the customer side. That's the longest challenge, the hardest challenge, because we can automate everything almost today, but we cannot force people to adopt to AI tomorrow. Compared to the internet times, I grew up with that. The largest adoption challenge was basically infrastructure, right? We needed a computer, we needed phones. Today, that's out there. Everyone has a phone. Everyone has access to AI. The biggest hurdle we have is people getting to get used to it, like they did with Googling something, right? I mean, most people here remember there was a time where this was not a term, and it was, you had to force yourself to search something on the web, and this is what you have to do first, and then basically you will start challenging everything you do with, like, how can I automate that? You get kind of in a hype cycle, and to give you an example, a few months ago, I travel a lot between Stockholm and Munich, and we basically went in our startup through all the tasks we have and like listing them, how much time does what take, and then thinking about the biggest time eaters, how we can automate them. And for me, one thing was traveling. I'm sitting on a plane for 2 hours between Stockholm and Munich. Without internet, I cannot really use cloud software. I can do some emails. And then I figured a few months ago, there's like maybe a hack for some people here. If you fly Lufthansa, there's the free messaging on the plane. You can just write WhatsApp and text messages, but actually it's enough to use ChatGPT. So what I'm doing now is I'm building on the plane with ChatGPT, because it's just text messages that go through. I'm building entire features. I'm sometimes even building a new business model for a new solution. And by the time I land, I have a prompt for Lovable that on the way home on the train, I put into Lovable and tell it to build that, and I have a ready-to-use mock-up prototype of a new software. And this is just, that's not going to be the last thing. This is how things accelerate.
And maybe just as a mini hack to add on that one, and love that examples, is if you're thinking, what else can I like use, for example, like ChatGPT on use AI in my life, you can ask ChatGPT and it's going to give you an answer. So just saying, hey, this is like my daily life and these kind of problems I have, where can you help me on? It's going to come up with a list and then you can decide like what you need for, but this is also a very easy hack to get started.
Cool, excellent. So I think now we all understand how to start a startup, but the big question and what we are aiming obviously at Unternehmertum is having scale-ups and really growing our companies, creating European champions, right? So for me, the question, and maybe Christian, you can answer that one first because you live in Stockholm and Munich. So what should Europe, Germany do to have more scalable AI startups from your perspective? Or is there anything we need to change and it's just only about the startups?
There's so many things, but I will not. There were other sessions where that was already elaborated in big style. I also talked with Fabian Mehring about it today. I think there's a lot of what we can do on an EU level. I think we need to collaborate even more. Also the ecosystems, like in Munich and Stockholm, it's perfect ecosystems that can learn a lot from each other. What I learned the most, and I got to Stockholm not because I wanted to fly and commute, it was for private reasons. My wife also has a career, and if you do a startup, that's in today's times, that's how it is, right? Like you have 2 careers and you need to make it work. So first time in my life, a year ago, I came to Sweden and I realized, whoa, there are so many things I didn't know. That they just have a different working style. Like they're way more open to new technology, to testing things, to applying things. And yeah, this is like I think the biggest learning that we can take from other countries, not just Sweden, also others, to see how they do it with AI, and then to learn from each other and find a way to collaborate. Because we're not gonna. We heard a lot of times today. Oh, we will never have enough funding to do our more LLMs, to do this or that. On an EU level, we're a huge market. We would have enough, but we need to build that stuff on EU level.
Right, maybe to connect on that, because you also say it's about exchanging ideas and so on. So when we talk about culture, like really love startup culture. It has been always great, always agile, but obviously very busy. Do you think there are elements in startup culture that changed now after Gen AI is such a big thing? Maybe Eva and then Fabian.
Yeah. So what I would say in terms of culture is, or what I see with the startups I work with, is that, as mentioned before, like speed is so critical that like having that speed in the team, making sure you can iterate and move quickly is like so as important as probably never before. So I can really feel that in the daily work, and that like founders, they really like think about every day, okay, where can I use AI? Where can I be even more efficient, right? I mean, you mentioned examples, and I think it's like, it's so critical and also very smart to do that, to really challenge yourself also as a founder. So I would say in terms of culture, like speed matters as never before. And secondly, also curiosity, right? Because so many things are happening, like so many new tools pop up around, design, product building, etc. And being open and thinking about, hey, what else can I use, and tapping into that, I think is very, very important. But yeah, these are just a few things that I observe the startups I work with. Not sure what else you see.
Great, Fabian. Yeah.
So what changed since Gen AI in the way startups work, I would say, and then there's the mindset that goes with it. The first thing I think that changed is the mindset of experimentation. When you started 10 years ago a startup, you were thinking about how you're going to structure your team and so on. Today, a startup is more like a permanent hackathon, where basically every day you need to adapt to the new challenges and experiment, test, and because you can do that so fast, resources are not a problem anymore. And so I think that's the first adaptability, because what you built last week might be obsolete today, especially in a startup. And the second is the mindset of a maker's mindset, where you touched upon it earlier. Even in a startup, you will start to hire people. And then at HR, instead of knocking at the door of developers to say, oh, can you build me an HR tool? You might be able to build your own, application chatbot. So the different individuals in a startup will be able to solve their own problems without dependencies on others. And that requires a maker's mindset. And so adaptability, a maker's mindset, an experimentation mindset, and basically be able to, kind of this hackathon analogy. I was mentioning earlier. That's the biggest shift I see with Gen AI.
Cool. So I think the time is running out. So maybe the last question and the famous question: what would you recommend a founder? Maybe just one sentence. It could be a tool. It could be a methodology. So maybe we start again with Eva. And then.
Yeah. I would say start shipping, start today, just do it. And yeah, if you have any questions on like OpenAI products, let me know.
Cool. Question?
Yeah, connecting to what Fabien said before is in having an 80-20 mindset. I think it's super important not to think in making things perfect from the beginning. This is a general problem we have in Germany, that we always want to ship a perfect product. That's where we were good at the end of industrialization. You need, as a startup now, to be, as you said, super fast, because otherwise others are going to be faster than you, and this means 80-20. Good is good enough. You need to get stuff out, because it's going to look different in the end anyway. And often a mock-up is enough to test. You can build that within minutes now. Get it out, iterate, iterate, iterate.
Great. So, Fabian?
Oh, I don't know what more to say, but I think the unfair advantage that you have today are not resources. It's really speed, and market rewards speeds over perfection. So I think the best recommendation is, and for startups, but also for people and companies, just ship your ideas. Don't put a deck together, but really, work on a prototype. And then let the vibe carry it forward.
Great, excellent closing statement. Thank you. It was a pleasure. So maybe, do we have time for one or two questions, or should we move on? No. Okay. So thanks a lot.